This is Gaming Through the Ages, and today we're taking a look at Daze Before Christmas, which was a Norwegian-developed game for the Mega Drive, which only released in Australia before being ported to the Super Nintendo and releasing to the wider European market, although it was never released for the Genesis in America or the Super Nintendo over here. Due to the strange release of the game, the Mega Drive version is exceptionally rare and expensive. However, there are tons of reproductions being sold on eBay, often not stating that they are reproductions, so buyers beware. The version on screen here is the significantly easier to obtain SNES port, and there are no differences between the ports as far as I am aware. The game tasks the player with traversing 24 levels as Santa Claus, which are unlocked in the style of an advent calendar. Santa collects presents throughout the levels by turning enemies into gifts using a magic dust attack. Santa can also open gifts to reveal power-ups or free elves, but the presents may contain enemies or bombs instead. The various power-ups include a lightning strike, which upgrades Santa's magic to fire that can melt ice, hats which act as Santa's life meter, extra lives, and a cup of tea. The cup of tea is especially interesting as it turns Santa Claus into the evil Anti-Claus, who sports devilish characteristics and is invincible but cannot open gifts. There are also bells sprinkled throughout the levels which act as checkpoints should the player lose a life. The majority of the gameplay takes place in platforming levels, with a small handful of levels thrown into the game where the player must drop gifts into chimneys from Santa's sleigh while dodging enemies throughout an auto-scrolling level. Each time one of these levels is completed, the player receives a password. There are also a small handful of bosses sprinkled throughout the game, however they are exceptionally easy to defeat even for a game with an overall very easy difficulty. And make no mistake, Daze Before Christmas is an extraordinarily easy game for a 16-bit platformer. Aside from a few sections featuring disappearing platforms with pits beneath them, the game does not offer any real amount of challenge. That's not necessarily a strike against the game, since it's obvious the design intention was to provide a game highly accessible to very young players, but it's something to take into consideration. The music and graphics are both suitable for the holiday spirit of the game, with the music even featuring some holiday classics such as Jingle Bells mixed in. Despite being fitting for the game's theme, the major negative aspect of the game does permeate both graphics and music. That aspect is simply how repetitive the game can be despite an overall short length. Graphical assets are reused consistently, as are the music tracks, and the later levels are often just remixes of the previous levels. All that said, the game is competently created and of higher quality than I had initially expected. The game is repetitive and feels very average, but it's also a fairly mindless game that you could stick in your console and relax with on a cold winter day.